Hi guys, welcome back to RUE MORGUE TV. I am executive editor Andrea Subasati, and I am pleased and proud to announce that issue 201 is available now. It's available on stands and in our shop. I'll drop a link to that below. And this issue features on its cover The Sadness, which is a new zombie horror movie. And I know you're thinking zombies are played out, but this movie is so over the top when it comes to violence and gore. It's going to make a splash. It's going to be very controversial and divide audiences, I'm sure. So I'm really eager to hear what you think about it, and you can read all about it in issue 201. In the meantime, enjoy this episode. See you soon.
Hi everyone, welcome to Sympathy for the Sequel. I'm Alex West, contributor to RUE MORGUE, author and co-host of the Faculty of Horror podcast. In this series, what we do is we take what is deemed the worst entry in a horror franchise by Rotten Tomatoes. I give it a watch. I talk to you about the franchise, the production history of the film, and give you a review. And at the end, we have to find at least a few redeeming qualities of said film. Today, we are going to be talking about Hellraiser, Hellseeker from 2002, directed by Ron Schmidt. So let's do this. Let's go seek hell. The Hellraiser franchise began with a novella, Clive Barker's Hellbound Heart. From there, Barker wrote and directed his own adaptation, which was released as Hellraiser in 1987. It almost instantly became a cult classic and has spawned so many sequels, reboots, seboots, requels, a whole mess of things that this franchise has churned out. It's pretty incredible given the amount of mileage that we have gotten out of one novella. Now, the whole premise of a Hellraiser film has to do with the lament configuration, a mysterious puzzle box that when you correctly open it, it unleashes a pathway to pleasure and pain indivisible from one another. It also happens to bring in the Cenobites, who are demonic entities who seek out retribution in our human realm.
You opened a door long ago, and it will not be closed until I get what I came for.
My soul.
Now, the original films really centered on one family. And then in the 90s, the boogeymen of Hollywood, as I like to call them, Harvey and Bob Weinstein and their companies Miramax and Dimension Films got a hold of the rights to Hellraiser, and they began to churn out sequel after sequel under the Dimension Films banner. They had a couple theatrical releases, but really quickly realized they could produce these films on the cheap, they could go direct to video, and because of the IP of Hellraiser, they'd still make a good amount of money. What the Weinstein started to do was take scripts that had nothing to do with Hellraiser. They were thriller scripts or horror scripts that they had kicking around. They added the lament configuration, a scene with a Cenobite, bing, bang, boom, you've got yourself a Hellraiser film. And this is why, especially in this kind of latter half of the franchise, these films feel so disconnected from each other because they are. They were never really meant to be Hellraiser films. And in some ways, that's kind of the genius as a lover of bad films, such as myself. This is why I dig it, because they don't really make a ton of sense. One of my favorite things about Hellraiser Hellseeker is that it has a big fat 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. And is it a 0 or is it this? So the film opens with a quote. "There is no greater sorrow than to recall happiness in times of misery." That's from Dante's Inferno. Cut to a couple opening credits, and then bam, we're right into a tickle fight in a moving vehicle between Kirsty and her husband, Trevor. They're like, "I love you, tickle, tickle," in, again, a moving car while Trevor is driving. This tickle fight and the "I love yous" get out of hand. Trevor goes off the road, crashing the car into a river. Kirsty seemingly dies, and Trevor survives. When the cops show up, Kirsty's body is missing. Ooh. And Trevor becomes the #1 suspect in Kirsty's death or disappearance. The film is really all about Trevor. It follows him as he kind of goes through this reimagining of his life without Kirsty, what he remembers, what's real, what's an illusion, and the Cenobites kind of start showing up in the corners of it. All the women he encounters desperately want to sleep with him, and then they all start ending up dead? And then, of course, you have flashbacks to Trevor and Kirsty's marriage, where for a 5-year anniversary, he gives her the lament configuration. And all of this is really strangely cut together, and it's a really weird film. And again, this is a script that had nothing to do with the Hellraiser franchise, but it does shoehorn these things in. I do have to talk about a really important part of this film, and it's a really strong part of this film, and that is Dean Winters, who plays Trevor. You probably all have seen him in something, whether it was his recurring role on Oz, Rescue Me, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or my favorite as Dennis Duffy in 30 Rock.
Hey, what's going on? Huh? What's your deal? Lesbian.
Can I get a hey dummy?
Hey, dummy.
The curse.
I love Dennis Duffy as a character, and to Winters' credit, he actually made me totally forget about Dennis Duffy within the realm of this film. After a couple scenes of being like, it's that guy, I went to like, oh wow, he's actually really working his ass off in this film. And the film continually lets him down. It is one of the strangest character trajectories I have ever seen. This film is really predicated on the idea that you've probably never seen another Hellraiser film, you've probably never seen another horror film, you've probably never seen another film, and certainly, absolutely have no idea what an unreliable narrator is. Because after that opening tickle fight scene, you're gonna guess what the twist is. This is kind of the problem with the film, is it just keeps going. It keeps layering in all these Hellraiser-esque setups, but in doing so, it actually misses a really cool opportunity. In the character of Trevor, you actually have a really similar character to that of Frank from the original films, the guy who first kind of brings in the puzzle box to Kirsty and her father's life. He's this ne'er-do-well who's trying to seek something, and then he pops up again in the original film as a bloody, dismembered corpse that has escaped hell. Now, what Hellseeker could have done was actually explore that journey of getting the box into what happens when you return from hell through Trevor. The film vaguely dances around it, and I think truly missed something really cool it could have done had it been given time, money, and holy shit, an actual Hellraiser script. But again, to his credit, Dean Winters really sells this film. Now, because Hellraiser Hellseeker is kind of unwilling to explore anything interesting, you get into a really monotonous groove with this film. It's just a repetition of Trevor getting into a new situation, feeling fucked up about it, everything going to hell, and then him running to another setup. It repeats, it repeats, it repeats, and a lot of especially female bodies who are not very well portrayed start to really pile up. And that's what this film is all about. It is about titillation. It is kind of that like early 2000s Red Shoe Diary kind of soft blue movie.
Surrender yourself to your past. It's the only way you're going to become whole again.
It does itself a disservice by trying to be a few too many things to a few too many people. But let's talk about a few good things about this film. So when I sat down to watch the film and the credits came up, I was like, right, Miramax, Dimension Films, and I started to think about everything that Harvey Weinstein had done, and it made me really upset and sad. But then I remember he was actually tried and convicted for rape and sexual assault, and he's rotting in prison, and that made me happy. Another really cool thing is the whole band getting back together. I mean, one of the highlights of any Hellraiser film, except for the last few, is getting to see Doug Bradley again.
All problems solved. Not so simple, I'm afraid.
No one inhabits Pinhead like him, truly. And then on top of that, you've got Ashley Lawrence returning as Kirsty.
What if I make you a deal?
Interesting.
I will bring you 5 souls in exchange for mine.
You would bring them to me yourself.
You'll get your 5.
I wish those two had a bit more time together. I wish Kirsty got to do some more interesting things, but hey, they got paychecks. That's good. And finally, I'm gonna say it again, Dean Winters. Dean Winters is so good in this film. He has no business being this good in this film. It's not that the film would be unwatchable without him, it would be unreleasable. Like, an editor would not have been able to finish this film without anyone really giving a shit about it. And thankfully, this kind of one-man show is salvaged by this actor.
You think I did it?
Hey, I'm on your side here.
Would you please tell me what the fuck is going on?
I wish I knew.
Yeah, I bet.
So I say kudos to Dean Winters, and my hope and my dream is that when Broadway reopens, Dean Winters does Hellraiser, Hellseeker, the one-man show on off-Broadway, and I will be the first person in line buying tickets to it because I'd watch the shit out of that.
Welcome to the worst nightmare of all. Reality.
I'm Alex West, and I'm your host for Sympathy for the Sequel. Hope this makes you want to watch Hellraiser, Hellseeker, maybe. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we want to do more. So do like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let us know in the comments what horror franchise should we tackle next. And of course, maybe throw in what your favorite Dean Winters role is, because that man has done everything. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the sequel. Now, because Hellraiser, Hellseeker, I got there and then I doubted myself. Hang on. Hellraiser, Hellseeker. I'm trying to. So this is how we all come to make Hellraiser, Hellseeker. This is the first production meeting. Hellraiser, Hellseeker, Hellraiser, Hellseeker. God damn it! That's been Hellraiser, Hellseeker.